Yes, I do.
All right.
Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? I think that's, that's a good question. I would say it's rooted in some similar things that you were talking about. You know, you want to be progressing the world versus bringing it backwards. And what I found is that my whole goal when I was younger was to get good at something that I really enjoyed doing. And I was able to figure this out in high school that I wanted to kind of go down this route. Um, and then once I got good at it, okay, what was the next level to it? And then was how do I make people's lives better? And one of the things I was thinking about was there's of um, a lot of my clients, I'll speak on that, they're in situations that the people they might have relationships with, I'm in essence their cheerleader. They have they might have a relationship with a good friend, but they have things where, you know, they have to do certain things for them, or they have to, you know, there's some pros and cons, and I just want to try to be as much of a pro as I can for them, because I think mentally there's a lot of entities, internet, you know, people in your face, letters, pressure that is on clients' shoulders. And I'm lucky that a lot of my clients are in leadership positions. And I feel that my contribution, outside of my direct business and the people that I lead through Calcica Fit and DWS, is that the people they lead, if they walk in with a high energy or walk in with a positive energy and they get that, they're going to pass that down. And I felt that that was my way to be able to really affect the world, is be that person for people where they can count on me. And so that's kind of what makes me do what I do.
Very good.
What athlete is most inspirational to you?
Ooh. Uh, I mean, there's definitely several athletes. I will say that um, I'll give a couple. Um, the current modern athlete is LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is not necessarily, you know, I know that Jordan Doc just came out, and a lot of people are, you know, they have their comparisons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed by somebody that I was lucky to have. I'm very lucky to have great parents um, who put me in a stable household, and he was somebody with a single mother, and she had her own issues. She wasn't necessarily the most stable,
Mm-hmm.
but for him to grow up and to, in essence, not really, I mean, get in any true trouble, no legal, obvious trouble, and to be the hands down the best basketball player of his generation.
Mm-hmm.
Even when the expectation was for him to be the best basketball player. I think that's the other thing. I think it's one thing to kind of come up and you don't have those expectations on you. And I've kind of noticed this from a very, very small point of view of, you know, when I did the thing with Solage, it was unexpected. When I had to repeat it, there was more expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And to step into that and to repeat your success over and over again, when the expectations are on you to do that, that's just different. And so for him to be able to do that, I kind of that there's an admiration there. Mm-hmm. I would say the other person is Hank Aaron. Mm-hmm. I met him once, and I remember meeting him, and I was like,
23 or 24, and I was with my mom, and he had a car dealership in Atlanta, and but long story short, it was his consistency. He never really hit a lot of home runs. I mean, even though he was a home run king for a lot of years, and most people still consider him that, he would consistently, year after year, get a certain amount of home runs, a certain amount of average, a certain amount of RBIs. He was somebody you could count on. And I really admire people who can do that, especially in situations where, the time in the world that, back then, for him to do that when people didn't want him to break, Babe Ruth's record and things like that. So that is another athlete.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that you explained why, of course.
Yeah.
You just want to understand that.
Yeah. I think the context is something, because and I like when come back to the LeBron thing too. I love the way he plays and he passes the ball and stuff like that. But I would say the way he's been able to run business and do, make the main thing still the main thing. It's like, which is basketball, but still be able to. It's kind of how I'm trying to do things. The main thing for me is kind of training and the work and the classes, but it's also we do a lot of other things, and it's trying to be able to run those things while still making what I consider the main thing, which is my interaction with members and clients in classes or in training.
Yeah, and also to further that metaphor, you like pass the ball to Tara, you pass the ball to Michael, and in that way you're all team players.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I've always wanted, because I realized just within the concept of sports, if you don't have that, you just can't do it all. I mean, like I don't. It doesn't matter how good or how great you are, you're not gonna be able to service and do the things on a scale that you might want to without the help of others.
Jackie asked you this question, or no, you asked Jackie this question in your interview with her.
Yeah.
And I don't think you answered the question, so I wanted to hear what your answer was to this.
Gee, intel. I'm kind of liking this. Okay. Intel. All right.
So, where do you see the fitness industry going forward, like in the next 5 years?
Oh, okay. That is interesting. You're right. I didn't answer that. I think I think where the fitness industry is going is a more combo similar to the music industry. I think things are going to get more digital with offerings, programs, classes, things that you on demand when you want to do it, you can do it. But I think, there was this weird space with music about 20 years ago when streaming and Napster and all that starts to happen, and the music industry didn't know how to really react to that. But one thing that kind of came out of that is a resurgence of live, so like older bands coming out and who had great catalogs and performing their music and coming to festivals, and you're seeing demographics of all ages coming to these festivals versus it being 15 to 25. Now, with Bottle Rock and festivals all over the world, and even smaller venues, people are really valuing the live experience.
True.
And so there's this real dichotomy of that, and I just see that truly enhancing in another level, that people are going to want 5-6 days a week to be able to have the thing wherever they go. They can have you. They're going to want to have Calisthenic Fit if they're in San Francisco, if they're on the East Coast, if they're traveling. They want to be able to continue that no matter where they go. But to fill their cup in another way, they want to be able to be in Parnham Park on Saturday, or be, at the gym on a certain day, and doing the group together with everybody in the room or everybody outdoors.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing. And then the second thing that is more of a tech thing, I think individualized medicine and nutritional. I think the nutritional side of things is behind where exercise is, and I think that's going to start to make certain jumps with AI technology over the next couple of years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so another twofold question.
Okay.
What is your one piece of advice for new trainers trying to enter the industry?
Yeah.
And what is your one piece of advice for someone who maybe is thinking about starting their own business and wants to be an entrepreneur who wants to have a successful business where you win Best Personal Trainer 3 years in a row and win Best Gym? And so what is your one piece of advice to both of those? So new trainers entering the industry, and then someone who's like, I want to open up a successful business. How can I, because you and I both know most, 80% of businesses close within the first 5 years, and we hit our 5-year mark. Woo woo! We hit our 5-year mark this year in the black.
That's just for Cal State Fit. I mean, we've had DWS longer than that, but
it's
yes.
True. Yeah. So, what do you tell the kids out there?
I think the thing that I'll give two.
Okay.
So the first thing is the education, and it's getting aligned with somebody who you feel like has strong level of education and has the ability and the time, to help mentor you. I think sometimes people take mentor and thinking that person has to give you a lot of time to do that. You still have to do 95% of the work, but they might just give you 5% of nuggets, like an hour every couple of weeks, where they tell you something and it just fast forwards your path. It might save you literally 6 months by something they say to you. And so for me, I feel like that was Coach Warner, who I think he's at Virginia Tech now, strength conditioning coach there.
But go Dukes.
But yes, he was at JMU, go Dukes. And so for him, I feel like 80% of what I know from the basics when it comes to weight training and sports performance came off of those years I worked with him as a strength and conditioning coach assistant. And so that part, I feel like that's valuable because you can get a lot of things with that. You can also watch things that people do, even your mentor, or even things like that you love that they do, and things that you don't like that they do, and you can kind of figure out what those things are. The second thing that I feel like worked well for me, and I'll always suggest it, is that as soon as you know you want to do the thing you want to do everything you can within that industry as jobs to kind of learn what job within that industry you want to do. So if you want to be a nurse, there's a lot of different types of nursing jobs. Intern, be a nursing assistant for all those different types, so you really learn, so that when you know, hey, this is the field I want to get to, or there's a niche that not too many people are doing, and you'll only learn that by getting a well-rounded. And I was able to do that. I was able to work in hospitals, sports performance, fitness director, starting a gym for a satellite medical school in Georgia. So like working with professional athletes, working at a hotel. I mean, like, it's all in the fitness and wellness industry, but they're all were different jobs until I really lined up and I'm pretty much doing what I'm doing. So those are the two things. And what was the other question?
For an entrepreneur.
So for an entrepreneur,
so we were lucky enough to get some advice when we started our business, which I feel like was actually very good advice.
Yes.
That I think rings true to today.
Yes.
So what advice, if someone came to you today and said, I want to start a business, what advice would you give them today?
It's tough. I would say I feel like in your bones, you know, if you want to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's meant to do that, and so don't fall in love with the idea, the dream of being an entrepreneur. Fall in love with what you want to accomplish and what the goal is. And if the goal requires you to become an entrepreneur to get it done, then go that path. But don't make the assumption that the glamour of being an entrepreneur that's what it is. It's glamour. It's still life. I mean, we have pros and cons. There's certain things that when things happen, we just have to handle it. You know, I think in a way, as an employee, there's certain things that you get to turn your lights off on when you don't. Where we have to always respond to it. We have to respond to the employee, the customer, the owner of the property.
When it's full time, it's full time.
It's full time. It's full time. So there's so many different layers. The government, you know, taxes, you know, all the things that come with that. And so I would say, more than anything, understanding why you want to be an entrepreneur, and understand, is it worth, because there's a burden there, and if you're comfortable with that burden, which we are, then go it, but don't do it off of just ego. Do it off of a goal of accomplishment that you feel like is needed in the community